You just made a reference to trauma. And I know that you've talked about family trauma and family lineage and how we, as a reincarnating species, carry that trauma throughout generations. And the fact that we're carrying that trauma, having these what we call perhaps karmic wounds, perhaps helps to perpetuate the matrix like aspect of where we are and how this is going down. What would your thoughts be on that, and what would be the antidote to that?
Well, they want to create trigger events constantly to just play into those traumas, those unhealed wounds. That's why people take everything personally, and there's so much more divide and conquer and just a lot of false movements that people attach themselves to because they're addressing, a trauma that they can't quite put their finger on. But if it's being presented, through just a movement or a trigger event, they can, they'll glom onto it and just feel like, okay, this is how I'm tending to that wound, when really it's getting them further enmeshed into an infection and into a takeover. Because really we just have to be transparent. We have to look honestly at these wounds and turn it into wisdom, turn it into like, okay, well, let's unify. Let's come together and see where we've been mind controlled or pushed into victim consciousness, or triggered into this reaction sort of scenario that isn't allowing us to fall back on ourselves a little bit and go through that dark night of the soul and mature ourselves and like rehabilitate, like together, and recognizing our true history and facing the rewritten history and the root of all these world wars and what our galactic history and ancient history, which has been buried, what does that really hold for us? Can we dig, deeper in the face of these wounds and reclaim ourselves and have it initiate us into a great healing and transformation? Or are we just going to be victimized and just almost validated for these wounds to the point where we are pushing it onto others and having them have to placate it, and just all the, it's just everything's being weaponized. Like we need to face these wounds to heal, but they know that we're in this huge healing process. So how can they disrupt it so that it gets messier and more complicated than actually beneficial? So that's up to us and the great healers and truthers out there, and we just have to really stand strong and pull our kids out of this indoctrination and this next level assault, to just be able to come together and rehabilitate and recover from the thousands of years of tremendous abuse.
Thousands of years. Well, that brings me to another point. This is gnawing at me. Laura, when we think about Homo sapiens sapien and our capability of recall, not just in this lifetime, but perhaps infinite lifetimes that we've had, can we assume that there was a time when we were not under the thumb of the system of this false matrix, where there was, as in the movie The Matrix, where I can't remember the character that said 100% human, where we were 100% human and the planet was 100% organic? That had to exist at some point. And if so, is there a memory, deep-seated memory within us that can potentially be resurrected?
Yes, absolutely. It's just deep within our soul, and we have to take the time to be able to listen. And the way the system is set up is to not give us that sort of time. When we look at the 9 to 5, and if something comes up, anxiety or depression, you instantly go and try and medicate it with pharmaceuticals or just make it go away like there's something wrong. It's shutting all that down is where the problem is, because all of those feelings take us on a journey. They help us to see our deeper soul calling when we begin to ask questions like, why are you angry? Why are you depressed? When you really give yourself the time and the respect to understand the root of it, you begin to find your truth. You begin to find your soul calling, and you begin to, tend to that, and then stand strong in honoring that and standing in your power and your truth, and not consenting or compromising yourself, and letting those outer projections define and diagnose you in a way that, really just complicates your brain, and it just doesn't let you heal at all. It's
Absolutely
absolutely artificial form of
Band-Aid solution.
You're giving your power away. You're not getting to know yourself in the face of, your body and your emotions and your mind and your higher intelligence trying to like get your attention, like listen to me. But instead it's like, no, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I need to take this medicine so I can continue to, do what the matrix asked me to do. So that is key, is to be very present with ourselves, to dive deep into, what is trying to show us. And that's what my book is about. Like, instead of just allowing, people to be like, oh yeah, you're crazy. You need to, this is what we need to do. I'm like, I'm just out of here. I'm going to go on a road trip and get the F out of here so I can just listen to myself and understand myself, so I can recover these ancient memories and just like this deeper part of who I am.
Right.
And yes, it has been thousands and thousands of years of this level of manipulation. And going all the way back to Lyra, that system, was attacked. So, it's really this, greater experience on a soul level of what are we going to do with choice and free will? Are we going to be service to self, service to others? We're going to have all these different experiences and experience light and dark, and play many different, roles in our soul experience. Can we get in touch with that? Can we consolidate all of that and find our wholeness again? Because really this is repair work. We're integrating all these fragments. We're repairing our 12-strand DNA, and we all hold different pieces in order to be able to do that. That's what unity consciousness is. But they're trying to pit us against each other and create this divide, when diversity and harmony is true oneness. The 7 root races and 5 cloister races that came into this system, is to be able to do this repair work. But it's been attacked with genocide. It's been attacked with holocausts and cataclysms and world wars. And so, we're all just like super traumatized, but we're not understanding like the hidden hand behind all of this,
right,
that has perpetuated it in order to keep us in this artificial system.
If you enjoyed this clip and would like to dive into the full episode, then simply click the link below.